Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Animate Orange, where I built a lot of 3D models and show you how I do it. Today on the table is something a little older from the Disney exclusive collection. This was sent to me by a viewer from Man on the Screen on Reddit, Cinderella, Carriage. And he sent this to me a while back. I got several things sent to me at the same time as well as viewer requests, so it's taken me a little time to get to it. But here I am. Let's open this up. First of all, thank you, Man on the Screen, for sending me this model as well as other models and for helping support this channel and making these builds possible. Thank you to all my Patreon subscribers and all of those who donate through Ko-Fi and send me models in the mail. It helps make all of these builds possible. Thank you very much. Let's look at the Cinderella castle. Looks like some thin, delicate parts that may be a bit challenging to bend correctly and not to destroy. But let's open it up, see what's inside, and carefully put it together. Cinderella's Carriage. Let's open this up. See real quickly what we have inside. Fairly typical 2 metal sheets with lots of thin looking parts. Pointed that out again, haven't I? It intimidates me just a little. And 2 sheets of instructions. And I'll go over these very briefly. The instructions or the assembly flowchart. I don't want to spend a lot of detail for those who are familiar with this model. But if you've never built one before, really quick running down. You open up the first sheet to this title page. And you've got your 360 view with the web address and QR code if you want to look at a completed model. You've got a line drawing, you've got a sample part with notations about insertion tabs, insertion holes, and fold lines. Tabs go in holes, fold lines are pre-scored areas that you can bend apart. You've got some, needle nose pliers are helpful for assembly. A legend, when you see this E, it's pointing at an engraved side or section and showing you which way that faces any non-engraved side or section. And this is an attention point. Usually it talks about make sure these tabs line up. Sometimes there'll be wording with it to tell you what to pay attention to, but something important you need to make note of. Blue circle, when you see that, a connection point, it means to insert a tab, fold it over 90 degrees. Green triangle, insert and twist the tab. And a little note about pulling and twisting or screwing the tabs to make them tighter when they're twisted, and that usually helps. And then we have a drawing of the parts down here, and I'll just show you one. This is a drawing of this sheet with all the parts labeled so you can easily find them. And you'll notice some parts are colored in, like these 2 blue wheels. They're the same part. One is labeled 12. That one's not labeled because it's the same color. It's the same part. They're both 12. They're wheels. It has more than one of the same kind of wheel on it. And then moving over to page 2, you have the start of the assembly flowchart, starting with part 1, a dowel rod or some sort of rod showing you to give it a little bit of a curve, and then you rotate it into half of a ball and flip these out. So these assembly flowcharts just kind of show you how to shape and curve and bend the parts, and you just follow along, adding parts as you go, following the arrows. Sometimes it goes across, sometimes it curves around. You get to the bottom of page 2, flip over page 3, and then page 4, and then after that you go to the next sheet, page 5, and follow along with that. Of course, once you get to the bottom, you're done with your model. Let's take a moment to talk about tools. This is a very basic set of tools that I use in pretty much every build. I've got a very standard set of tweezers that I use very frequently. I've got some precision tweezers, another flat set here, and a couple of pointed tweezers, one of which I've ground the tip down just a bit to make it a little flatter for grabbing tabs. I have clippers that I use to get the parts off of the sheets quickly and easily. It's better than bending and trying to break them off. And then a couple of different pliers, a flat nose set and a long needle nose pliers set. They come in handy for bending in different situations. When it comes to shaping rounded parts, there are many options. I used dowel rods for a long time. I sharpened the ends of 2 of them with a pencil sharpener. These 2 are great for making cone shapes. Another option is a cheap drill bit set. This set has quite a few different sizes to choose from. Another option is a set of step mandrels. We've talked a little bit about tools. We've got our instructions, our sheets at the ready, and some basic tools to get started. Let's put this together.
Lately I've gotten to where I like to clip out several parts ahead and then put them together and shape them. I used a prescription bottle to curve parts 1 and 2. I also tried to hold extra pressure in the thinner middle section to attempt to keep that area from bending over. In the end, it seemed to kind of do that anyway, but not too badly. I guessed which way the engravings were supposed to face when I first started bending this part. Come to think of it, even though the instructions have the E and NE in the alleged, nowhere in the instructions do I remember it telling me which way to face the engraved sides and where they were supposed to go. Now that I am adding a part to the frame, I can now see that I have shaped it incorrectly. Attaching the pumpkin to the base or frame was definitely tedious. Just have to take it one tab at a time. I originally twisted this tab inside the carriage, but later decided it would be better to fold it over for a cleaner look. I have a fair amount of tools, but sometimes a basic household item is just what you need. After attaching the ovalish part to the side, I went around and cleaned up the bent over sides a bit. Since the other side shapes just like the first, I will skip showing all the sides being folded over, and furthermore may skip a few repetitive parts as this build goes on. I use the flat nose pliers to hold on to some thin parts while I bend over flaps to keep them from warping. I was so focused on figuring out the best way to shape this part, I neglected to consider the piece that I had just constructed that needs to attach. It would have been best to attach it before closing this part up as I did. It was at this point I realized my mistake. This dowel rod is a little smaller than the final size of this part. However, with longer parts such as this, the metal tends to retain some memory and open back up a little. It helps to bend angled out tabs so that they point straight towards the next connection so that they line up more easily. The side tabs holding this last part on are a minor challenge to get to. I opted to fold them over. And I present to you Cinderella's Carriage. And yes, it was a bit delicate, not as bad as I was worried about. You start off, and I guess the part I was most worried about was this, the pumpkin part, because it's such thin parts. You start off building that, and I kind of like that. I kind of appreciate that that's the beginning, because that's the part I was worried most about. Got it right out of the way before I had a chance to get frustrated and tired and needed a break. So taken care of, not really that difficult to shape. The hard part was getting it attached to the carriage itself, and that just, as usual, takes patience. Otherwise, it was a fun build. It was a different build. All these little vines and leaves and stuff, shaping those, that was unexpected. Didn't really put any thought ahead of time into the fact that it would include that, but it was a bit unexpected, an interesting little challenge. I did the best I could. The directions kind of give you an idea of what to do to shape them, and I just did the best I knew how to do. Certainly open to artistic interpretation. Honestly, it's your model. You build it the way you want to. You shape the leaves however you want to shape them. If you want to try and mimic the packaging, mimic the directions, or mimic a particular picture, or do your own thing. That's the beauty of this. You're building this model. You shape it the way you want to. I frequently do that with the tabs. Sometimes it'll say twist and I fold them over because I think it's a cleaner look and I prefer that. Sometimes I twist them because I really don't want to fight with trying to fold over in that particular area. It varies. You can build this model the way you want to. You can do any of them that way, really. But it's neat. Neat little thing. Come together fairly easily. It took just over 2 hours to complete. Just barely over 2 hours. Did not get frustrated with it. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the uniqueness of it and the leaves and some of the unique ways that things come together and these little springs. I guess that's what those are. Those ovalish shaped things. I guess those are supposed to be springs for the carriage. But thank you to Man on the Screen on Reddit for sending me this model to build an experience for myself. I did enjoy it. And now I share it with you and how I build it, the viewer. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone out there who's contributed to me, to this channel, to help make these builds possible. These builds, not just this one, but other builds as well. Thank you for helping to make them possible. It is with your support that I'm able to keep going and get some of the larger, more interesting builds. If you want to become a Patreon supporter yourself, check out a link in the description down below, and also at the very end of this video, there's also a link in the description. If you just want to leave a tip, if you enjoyed just this one particular video, want to leave a small tip, you can check out my Ko-Fi link as well. As always, thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.